Hey everybody, this is Lee with Pacto Tech. I wanted to take a moment to run through the different boards we have here. So these are all for connecting the buttons and joysticks from your arcade cabinet to your Windows or Linux computer. So the main purpose of these compared to having 4 separate boards for each player is that this will keep your players in the correct order every time you boot up Windows. Player 1 will always be 1, 2 is 2, 3 is 3, 4 is 4. You have the option to quickly rearrange them for different games to put player 1 and 2 in the middle versus having them 1, 2, 3, 4 left to right. But you don't have to use that. You can ignore all these extra functions and just wire up your player buttons and just have it so that they're always in the right order, and that's it. There's a bunch of extra features that are a little more advanced, but you don't have to use any of those. So the first is our biggest seller, the 4-player 4000T. We used to also sell the 4000H. This came out before the 4000T. The 4000H uses header pins, which is a little more compact and gives you the option of using these pre-made Brook wiring harnesses, which are really nice if you're hooking up to SandWall buttons and joysticks. But you'll have to use extensions or build custom wires on a 4-player cabinet because they don't generally reach your outside players. So that's why I think this is a better option for most people. It's a little more flexible and you don't have to make these DuPont connectors is the typical name. So if you're going to use those, we do have these, but you'd still need to terminate these wires. So most people are going to want the ones with the terminal blocks. These are spring terminals, so you can land a plain wire in it. You just push down the button, you stick in the wire, let go, and that's it. It's hooked up. The other boards we have a 3-player board, which is basically the same thing as this, but 3-player. And then we have two 2-player boards. So we have one with the terminal blocks and one with the DuPont header pins. The only reason I would suggest buying this to anybody would be if you plan on going with all SandWall buttons and joysticks, and you buy the Brook wiring harnesses for their fight sticks. You can plug one in for player 1 and 2, and they got pre-cut lengths, fully terminated, that wires up to the SandWall buttons and joysticks. They're really nice. But if you're not using SandWall buttons and joysticks, then I wouldn't recommend this. I would just go with this board. We also have a 1-player board, which is kind of neat because it gives you the option of wiring up 2 sticks in a twin stick configuration. So I think you could do some really interesting small cabinets with 2 joysticks left and right with the buttons in the middle, so you can play twin stick games. It has some interesting features, like there's a turbo mode, which lets you enable turbo on a button by default, but then if you hold down any other button while you enable it, it'll apply turbo to that button. You can do multiple buttons, 1 button, anything you want. There's also a mode on here. This is on all the boards it's available. It's called 8 to 6. And what that does is it changes the button layout from the modern fight stick layout like you would see on an 8-bit Do or Mayflash or any of those fight sticks, which is kind of the ideal layout if you're playing new Windows games, like fighting games. And then this 8 to 6 will change it to the more typical configuration you'll see on MAME emulators and packages like Hyperspin, CoinOps, Retrobeast, those types of things, where they'll typically map it out for 6 buttons, and it's a different layout. So this would let you quickly switch between them, but you can just map it one way and not use any of that functionality if you don't feel like it. All of these boards here and this 2000H have an exit feature, which what that actually does is when you push it, it holds back and start together, because that's a feature for exiting most games like CoinOps or Core Type R. Yeah, basically The main purpose of these is just Xinput functionality, keeping the players in the correct order all the time, and trying to make things easier for you. They also all have a disconnect mode. The disconnect mode makes the Xinput controllers disappear on the computer, and that's great if you want to hook up a dance pad or other types of controllers like game pads. So if you hit disconnect mode, let these controls disappear from your computer for 10 seconds, and then you can hook up your wireless game pads, and then you can use those instead. And then when you want to go back to this, disconnect your game pads or your dance pads or whatever else you want to use, hit any of the other modes like 2-player mode, 4-player mode, any of these other things. It'll reconnect fairly quickly within a few seconds, and then your controls will reappear. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm active on lots of Discord servers, and there's also contact information at our website. Thank you.